What is up, guys? It's your boy Malice, and I want to talk a little bit about Caustic today. So, I want to start off by saying I don't want Caustic to be overpowered. I don't want Caustic to become the best legend in the game. I don't want Caustic to be a no-skill character. I want Caustic to at least get a little bit more love. And I know that everyone is saying that because he got his little buff that he got where teammates can't be affected by his gas, that he is just the most overpowered character, and that is incorrect. Now, I am very happy and grateful for that buff, do not get me wrong. That buff has helped immensely, and even with just that buff, you're seeing a lot more caustics in your game. You're fighting more caustics, you're playing with more caustics, and that is amazing. I don't want everyone to play Caustic. Like I said, I don't want him to be just the most OP character, because I like that he has a skill ceiling. He has a very high skill ceiling as well. You know, there are people that will just deploy their gas cans in the wrong position, in the wrong ways. They'll all disappear at the same time. You don't have your ultimate, and people can just push you. No problem. And that right there will get any caustic killed, even a good caustic. You know, if they're panicking and they just, you know, they do the wrong thing at the wrong time, man, you can die with caustic. He's a larger legend, he does take less damage, so that's always nice, but he still has the skill ceiling to where if you don't play him correctly, especially out in the open, you, by any good player, you're gonna get lasered. So some things that I think would help him, and I'm not saying that I want them to do all of this, okay? If they did all of what I'm about to say, he would probably be the best legend in the game. By far. By far. Everyone would want to play him, everyone would want to main him, so I don't want them to do everything that I'm going to say. Even just one, if not two of these things would just make him much more viable. So I want to start with his passive. So they did make it to where his teammates aren't slowed by his gas, which is amazing. Sorry. But honestly, if they gave, so whatever the teammates were slowed by before the buff, maybe give them a 5% slowdown and give the team threat detect when they're in the gas. So Caustic, if anyone's in his gas, he instantly gets threat detect, whether he's in his gas or not. Maybe if your teammates fight in your gas, they get threat detect too. Okay, with a slight movement decrease. That would be cool. That would be just fine. They don't have to do that. But you know, obviously the developers, the devs, nothing. They don't have to do anything. They, in the end, get to choose what they want to do to any and every legend, gun, map, whatever it may be. So I'm not saying that they have to do this or they will do this. You know, they do what they want. But I feel like a threat detect for the team, even if it's not as bright as Caustic's, just a slight outline of them would be immensely helpful, because even still, with your teammates not being slowed by the gas, people still complain that they can't see through your gas or whatever it may be, and I get it to an extent, but it's just something that you have to work around as a team. You have to play around the gas a little bit, and you can still kind of see through the gas. You can see people moving. A lot of people that complain about that, not to be rude, they just don't have the best TVs. They're not very clear. It's an older TV, which is understandable. Not everyone can afford something that nice. So I think that would help his passive immensely. But I think where his passive at now is also a very good spot. So if they kept his passive the same, then I wouldn't complain. The next thing I want to talk about is his barrels. So this wouldn't, I don't really care if they do this or not, but either decrease the time that you get the barrels. I believe it's like 13 seconds a barrel that you get them back, if I'm not mistaken. It's like 13 seconds. Maybe make it 10 seconds, just for the simple fact that You know, like in super sticky situations, once you run out of barrels, all your barrels are gone. They can push you. If you don't have your ult, they can push you, and you're a large legend. You're easy to hit. They will laser you, especially if a full team pushes you. You don't have an out. You kind of have an out. We'll talk about that later. But you know, if they decrease the time that you could have barrels, but maybe only gave you like 5 barrels to work with instead of 6, that would be fine. Or just gave you more barrels in general, it would kind of work the same. So instead of 6, you could have 8, you know. Or if they decrease the time that you got your barrels and drop it down to like 4 or 5 barrels, I think that would be totally okay. So you have barrels to work with quicker. But I also think that where his barrels at in that aspect is also in a decent position. They could, you know, they'll probably end up doing something to Caustic in the future. But the next thing I want to talk about is the damage that his traps do. As I said, his traps are in a decent position, but they don't do enough damage, I don't think. A lot of people can either, especially like really good players, like even diamond and above, I've even seen some platinum players do this to me specifically. You know, they can just kind of run and slide up through your gas, and essentially just laser you. Especially if they have a threat detect, and they just stand on the outside of your gas, not being damaged. They can see you, they can see your teammates, and if your teammates don't have a digi threat, then you know, so you guys are at a disadvantage there. So I feel like making it to where even if it starts off at like 7 damage, it starts off at 5 and goes up 1 damage a tick. So you start at 5, then the next second you'll get 6 damage, so on and so forth. So say they even started it at 7, that's an instant 7 damage, and then you have 8, so that's 15 damage you've taken total, and then it just goes up and up and up. And that right there, even that 2 damage, will make people want to push it less, okay? So, you know, I feel like they could do something to his barrels to make them better than what they are now. They're not in a horrible position, but they could definitely be increased. The last thing I want to talk about with his barrels are more health. So, if I'm not mistaken, back in the day, Watson, it just took 1 bullet to destroy her fence. And I think now it takes like 4 or 5. Crypto's drone only took 1 bullet to destroy, and now it's like 50 health. Which is just fine. I'm not complaining about that. That's good. You don't want something to be destroyed instantly. But if they gave Caustic's barrels, and if they did this to his barrels, I wouldn't care about more damage, more barrels, you know, less time, whatever. This right here would be enough. If they just gave his barrels more health, you know what I'm saying? So you actually have to think about, okay, I have to stand here, look down, and shoot these barrels and not focus on the enemy. That would make people think, okay, you know, should I shoot this and push? Because you could get lasered in the time that it takes you to destroy a Watson fence, or especially a crypto drone. You can either die or just be melted quite the bit. So if they just gave his barrels more health, like even, you know, like I feel like 30 to 50 health would be fair. So you actually have to think about, you know, cracking this barrel and pushing it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like probably 25 to 40 health would be fair, just because you can have 6 barrels, so that's a lot of bullets. That's a lot of damage that you have to put out towards the barrels. So, you know, just giving the barrels more health, because, you know, and even the fact now with the slight nerf that his barrels got, you know, you can shoot them while they're bubbling up, and you weren't able to do that before, you know. So Caustic used to be able to just throw his barrels, and it's a race to see who could shoot the barrel first, you know. So you know, if they just gave his barrels a little bit more health but still kept it to where you can shoot it while it's down or inflating, then I feel like that would be fairly okay. That would be a good buff, and I would totally not worry about more barrels or more damage. I think that alone would make his barrels so much more viable. So another thing I want to talk about is his ultimate. So his ultimate is in a good it's it's in a mediocre place, I would say, because you can have a really effective ultimate sometimes. Those sometimes are, like I guess what most people do when they first start playing Caustic is they'll try to trap people in a building with their barrels, and then they'll try to throw their ultimate in the building. That can wipe a squad. It really can, especially if the entrance only has 2 doors, or the building only has 2 doors. You just put a barrel down on each side, you throw your ultimate in there, and then you toss another gas trap or 2 in there after like 5 or 6 seconds of your ultimate being up. Right then and there, you're most likely going to get a squad wipe. As long as there's not a single corner that isn't being touched by gas, you will kill them, and those are really effective ultimates. You can have effective ultimates outside as well, which is super cool, but that just comes with time, learning how Caustic works, learning how to play around his gas in general. But I feel like if they gave his ultimate more damage, so I mean it's his Nox gas grenade. Ultimates are supposed to be game changing. They're not supposed to be like, oh, here's my ultimate, you can run through it and not die. Like, if you run through a Gibby ult, you're gonna die. You know what I'm saying? If you get hit by Bangalore's ultimate, you are massively slowed, you're stunned, your vision is blurred, everything, Bangalore's ultimate isn't the best. It definitely needs a buff in my eyes, but I feel like if they made Caustic's ultimate deal a little more damage, or they gave it a faster charge. So right now, I believe that his ultimate takes 120 seconds, so 2 minutes to charge. If they drop that down to either 1:30 or 1:45, that would also be okay. That would, you would have to take like one ultimate accelerant and wait like 30 seconds, and you'll have your ultimate. And I know that seems overpowered, but Caustic's ultimate isn't the best. It definitely helps, and like I said, you could have very useful ultimates, but it needs some tweaking, and even if the devs did one of these changes that I'm talking about, just to one thing, I would be happy. I'm not saying Caustic is bad, he has a high skill ceiling, so it takes time to learn him. I am able to play him just fine. But he is one of my favorite legends. He's underpowered in the sense that if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to play Caustic well at all. And that's okay. That's the same with every legend. The only legends that really have a low skill ceiling, in my opinion, is Lifeline, Octane, and even Mirage. Those characters have a fairly low skill ceiling, and that's okay. I play Mirage, I don't play Lifeline or Octane. Watson has a high skill ceiling, Wraith does. I mean, I know that most people will say, oh, she has her get out of jail free card, which also got nerfed, as most of you will probably know. But it's not just, like instantly phasing out and winning anymore. It's now, you have to very carefully think about when you want to use your tactical, where you need to reposition. I mean, you can see players in the void now, so that's good. But Wraith has a pretty high skill ceiling. That's why you see a lot of pros playing her, is because she's not, the easiest to play. But once you master her, she can save your ass in almost every situation possible. So again, just a little more damage on the ultimate, so even if they kept the barrels at the same damage and just gave them a little more health and made his ultimate start at like 10 damage or 15 damage and go up, from, like 10, then to 11, then to 12, or from 15 to 16 to 17, that would make his ultimate so scary, because there are literally players, and there have been games that I have been in where I throw my ultimate on, I knock someone, so I throw my ultimate in there, in a building or whatever. A player will come up and res their down teammate in my gas and leave. And just get out of there. That shouldn't happen. You can't do that in a Bangalore ultimate. If you get your teammate up, unless you have a gold bag, if you get your teammate up in a Bangalore ult or a Gibby ult, you're going to die, okay? Now, again, I don't want Caustic to be overpowered. I just want a few of his things to get some love. So the last thing I want to talk about with his ultimate is the deploy time. Now, I mean, I guess in the sense Gibraltar's ultimate is kind of the same, because it's like, the little grenade you throw out, it signals out the bombardment. It takes a second for the nades or the bombardment to actually come down and hit the ground, but with caustics, you pull out that grenade, it takes a decent amount of time for you to throw, and then it takes like a millisecond for the gas to go off. But I feel like it needs to be deployed a little faster, just that smidgen faster. And if it, like right there when I threw my ultimate, that person lasered my shield. You know what I'm saying? That's a good example. If that was like a super good player, I'm not saying he wasn't. He dealt some damage to me. But if he was like, even Asu or Noko Puffs or anything like that, I would have been dead right there trying to throw my ultimate. You know what I'm saying? So being able to deploy it a little faster, and I don't want it to be like as soon as you hit your ultimate button or you trigger your ultimate, he throws it. I like that it's a grenade. I like that you have to choose where you throw it. I like that a lot. The thing that I don't like is just how long it takes to actually throw out, because that alone will get you killed. It can get you killed very quickly. So that's that. The last thing I want to talk about is his cocoon. If you don't know what the cocoon is, it's where you throw a barrel down directly at your feet and you crouch and you are inside of Caustic's barrel. And that's what I was talking about earlier. His only get out of jail free card is that. And even then, it doesn't work 100% of the time. You can't just cocoon and enemies not shoot you. They can. There are times where some of your body's sticking out and they can shoot you. There are even some times where they can shoot through the barrel. But for the most part, you're inside the barrel. They can't shoot you, especially with the gas going off. If they're blinded, you can give a slight strafe. So if your elbow is poking out the right side of the barrel, then you can strafe a little bit left and then right again to throw them off. So if they fix the cocoon, because it's not technically supposed to be there, then that's going to make most Caustic players not want to play him very much unless they do one of the things that I'm talking about, whether it be the threat detect for the teammates, whether it be more barrels or more damage on the barrels or a higher ultimate charge or whatever it may be. Something needs to happen if they get rid of that cocoon, because they're going to make Caustic pretty much almost to where he was before. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, what they should do to Caustic. Again, I don't want him to be overpowered. I just want him to get a little bit of love from Respawn. Thank you guys for watching. It's your boy Malice, and I will see you in the next one.